and focus on these incredible games that happened. And yeah, Dan, I think there's no better one to start with, no bigger surprise, I would say, out of the games that we got so far, and that was Eagles 49ers. I have some questions, but I think it's only right that after the season we've had, the top 10 rankings, the debates, the constant debates about this Eagles team, a year after the Super Bowl, and we're finally here at the outcome of that, the fallout of that Super Bowl and trying to run it back again. After suffering this loss to the 49ers 23-19, what is just your overall feelings about this game and this season?
This game, there was a lot of, how do I say, things that I feel like were going the 49ers way. Of course, they had some misreads and some miscues and things like that. Joey, I already saw your reaction. Let me get to my point. My point is in the sense of, for example, four times I've noted AJ Brown running a fly, no defensive pass interference. Of course, he did make errors in terms of getting the ball thrown directly into his hands, and he still dropped it. You still got to account for those errors. Lane Johnson was not active, but Saquon was still able to get the ball rolling and still able to run past the line of scrimmage. Um, and as far as the 49ers offense, I was kind of confused as to how we were not able to acquire more pressure on Purdy. Um, but that's really as far as the game goes. Like, Elliott misses his extra point, but so did the 49ers. Um, and overall, it was just Demarcus Robinson really threw me off. I have no idea why he
Yeah.
was able to be such a factor into this game the way that he was, but also too, I think again, I said in the previous preview, Shanahan versus Fangio, that was gonna be like a really big tell of what was going on because in reality, in that moment, really talent was not what mattered.
Right.
It was just the experience and being able to identify what was going on and being able to run the play. As far as the what's it called, team itself, I would love to know the philosophy of screaming at your number one guy when he's tried to make plays beforehand. I would like to see where that goes. Of course, I see conspiracy theories about already like, is this his last season? Is this his last game? Is he gonna be gone? Everything in between. Um, who knows? In reality, you know what I mean. I think for me, overall clearing house, this is gonna be something that I would like to see. And I'm not even gonna lie to you.
Wait,
As far as the season goes, right? Let me be for real. Right? Let me be for real. We've been struggling all season in terms of being able to pick up momentum in certain situations, right? And then when we get the ball rolling, we get the ball rolling. But what is two things that I saw this game that I was stressed about was Robert Sala. I knew how he was in the Jets and knowing how to read good. He's able to make good defensive situations.
He beat
What does he
Jalen
need?
Hurts on the Jets.
What did he need? He needed a guy who could call an offense, i.e., Kyle Shanahan. So it's like this duo is extremely like great. They're like as a team, like coaching staff,
Coach
like
of the
the
year.
the right guy to call the defense and the right guy to call the offense at all times. Like there's no
oh,
reason why they should need to separate personally. And Joey, the fact that you're thinking is wrong is crazy to me.
Yeah.
But because
coach
he
of
was
the
able to
year?
take a Jets team that the Lions defensive
No, not
coordinator couldn't
Sala.
do
Shanahan.
jack squid, like jack shot like shit with it. Like, but this Robert Sala was able to go and make this Jets defense dangerous for a minute. And he was able to do stuff with it. He just couldn't get Zach
You know why?
Wilson to do ish
You
with
know
it.
why?
Why?
You know why that way? They had Quinn Williams in the middle of that defense. That's probably why.
Yeah, but let's.
Congratulations. Who do they have on the Niners defense right now?
I think I.
They have like two first round defensive players.
They lost-
Yeah, and they were
No,
on their
they-
6th, 7th, and 8th linebacker today.
They
And
lost-
they were able to do stuff with Eric Hendricks.
They lost Nick
Eric Hendricks
Bosa
started
and
left
Fred
back.
Warner for the whole season and their first-round pick, Michael Williams. And Robert Saleh has this defense playing at a level that can win them games like they did in this game. And I think the coaching matchup from Robert Saleh to Kevin Patullo in this game was a huge mismatch, and we saw that in the second half.
And this is what I say, right? You guys want to talk about like what was pissing me off with this whole game? What's ironic in this game is that you are on your last play of the game, and the ideal play was Smith, Dotson, and Brown to run all fly routes, and Goddard to be the only person to run a post. You know what that shit is? Madden intermediate mode, okay? And this is what I'm saying that fucking pisses me off with that shit, right? Is that your only option to throw the ball to has 3 guys, 2 safeties, and the linebacker in the middle of the fucking field, bro.
You say,
And this is what I'm getting at. Is like the play calling decision. Everybody wants to shit on Hurts about the retarded absolute bullshit.
Can I stop you there?
Absolute bullshit of
Can I stop you there?
huh?
Can I stop you there? So you're trying to isn't it all come down like don't the players play the game? Isn't this more of like Jalen Hurts' decision making? How can you say
Joey,
this
if that
is
was
like
the
their
case,
play-
why would
Hold
you,
on,
why would you fire
I have a
if that was the
question
case, Joey,
about
if that was the
this.
case, why you firing Eberflus?
Here, guys, I have the perfect question for this. I will ask both of you.
Hold
So we saw 0 touchdowns in the second half. We saw, all the other drives that they punted. They had a turnover on downs in the second half, but the 3 drives they punted, it was 3 and 4 plays on all of them, so 3 and outs. It's something we saw all season. Obviously, Kevin Patullo is expected to be fired as it's a terrible performance. But there was other things off with this Eagles team. Like the first play, the defense looked amazing. I thought, they're going to win this game. And then you let up a huge play to Demarcus Robinson, and you get the best red zone offense in the league immediately into the red zone. Immediately, there were things wrong. That was on Quinyon Mitchell. So my question is, after seeing all of this stuff, and it wasn't just like the play calling, some of the blame has to be distributed somewhere else, in my opinion. Danny and Joey, Danny, I'll go with you first. Is there anyone else to blame for the Eagles' offensive struggles in this game and this season? Because I feel like the defense played well. Is there anyone else to blame? Okay.
I would say members of the O-line. Steen's blocking assignments not met, not able to get to the linebackers, was getting stuck in the first level. Fred Johnson was trying his best, but at the end of the day, like, again, kind of turnstile effect I was seeing because Huff was able to go and get tackles on Saquon when that should never have really been a thing. You know what I mean? And again, that's one thing that I feel like the Eagles always have relied on their offensive line in terms of pass protection, in terms of the running scheme. And then when those things don't fall apart, it's like you have every guy basically on an island. And in that kind of situation, like no quarterback thrives in that kind of situation, especially a quarterback who's not used to being in that kind of situation, as you guys all like to say, because he's always had a decent O-line. While Hurts was able to scramble, there's been numerous times that Hurts had to run out of the pocket. While, of course, like I agreed with Brady when he was saying, he gets a little like frantic and he wants to run outside, but doing that, you cut off half of the field. Yes, there were a couple plays he did that. I agree. But there are also plays that, again, Saleh called the proper blitzes that the Eagles O-line was not able to adapt to.
So who do you blame for the incompletions between A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts in this game? Because there were plays where Jalen did have time in the pocket and it was clean and he would deliver a strike downfield. And to me, it kind of looked like A.J. Brown was having a bad game. I mean, even late in that drive, they still got past the 50, but as they were trying to work past the 50, A.J. Brown dropped a slant over the middle. And I think they got to 4th down after that. And it was just like, that was after 2 deep shots that seemed like plays he would make. Like, is that something that you feel like is all a result of Patullo's coaching? Because those aren't plays where the offensive line is an issue. And I feel like that's the core of like what a lot of people are wondering about this Eagles offense.
I genuinely think the concept of frustration of the offensive not operating to the level or to the standard that we're normally used to seeing
Who
not
runs
take
the
place
offense?
for a long time builds frustration within the players. Joey, your point of who runs the offense. I'm assuming you're
Like,
looking for me to say Jalen Hurts and how he runs the
correct.
offense. He should be able to
Yes.
go and make the play calls and be able to do that stuff. Okay, so a drag route coming across the field, ball thrown while getting pressured into AJ Brown's hands. Do you blame Hurts for that throw?
No.
No. So next, what's it called? Brown going down the field, right? In a very contested ball. What does he love? Jump balls. He likes contested balls. Easy money, no issue, no problem. Hurts throws it in the best possible position for him to catch it. He drops it. He gets up frustrated. Do you blame Hurts for that ball?
You're talking about plays that are obviously not Jalen Hurts'
No,
fault,
but
but
then
how the
let me
offense.
get to other points. Saquon.
Jalen Hurts is the whole key.
Huh?
Isn't Jalen Hurts the whole key? Doesn't he have free reign to call plays, like check out of shit and get his fucking players in the right position to like make plays? Isn't that how a quarterback operates? Isn't that the responsibilities of a quarterback?
Yes,
Going
but
back
isn't
to
it
last year,
responsibilities of your OC to put you in at least position that you don't have to do that? And if
isn't
things
your
do it, it's
OC's
because
job,
you.
isn't your OC's job to give you options for like certain like schemes that you see, and then you pick the ones that for what you're seeing as a quarterback? Isn't that like the OC's job?
Yeah, but if you're not
Isn't Jalen
if you're not getting yourself put into a situation,
Hurts
i.e.,
needs to
when
be, from what I understand here, is Hurts needs to be spoon fed in offense. He can't make plays on his own. He can't check out into things that he sees on the field. He needs to have a guy tell him exactly what to do on every single play. Is what you're pretty much.
I'm going to provide some more context about the game, too, just some stats that might, back up things that were going well for both teams. The Eagles had 7 penalties for 50 yards. The 49ers only had the 1 penalty in the whole game, and it was hitting Jalen Hurts in the second half that got them pretty much into field goal range or solidified it. And so that wasn't going well for the Eagles, but they also dominated time of possession.
Yes.
35 to almost 36 minutes to 24. So they had an extra 12 minutes in this game. And in the second half, all those 3 and outs that the Eagles had and that they have consistently had during this season in the games that they've looked poor on offense, they led the league. And it's something that has to come down to more, to me, than the offensive coordinator. And to me, this also feeds into this idea that Jalen Hurts is a little overrated. Now, I'm not blaming him entirely for this game, but contextually, they didn't have Lane Johnson. This is something a lot of, people have mentioned as something that he always has Lane Johnson in the playoffs. Well, he didn't here, but he still had all his weapons. He still had Saquon for 3/4 of the game. And he still had his wide receiver duo and a very good defense, and at least Fangio covering that side of the ball. And this was the one game in Jalen Hurts' playoff career, unlike the Buccaneers game where they were tattered in 2023, or all the other games that he's played in the playoffs where they've led, like the 2022 playoff run against the Giants and the 49ers, where they were leading that whole season. And then last year, they were the most superior team by far. This was the very first game that Jalen Hurts was on in a game against another quarterback like Purdy. He had a worse roster around him, but better coaching. I'd say overall they were on a pretty similar playing field, and Purdy came out with this one. Purdy came out with the comeback win, whereas Jalen Hurts had an opportunity to get his first one ever, and he didn't get it. And Purdy, I would say, against the Packers, was able to kind of work things back. And even in the Lions that year that they went to the Super Bowl, I feel like this is a really, really significant moment in Jalen Hurts' career in terms of how people are going to view him and how this is going to marinate over the offseason, because I just can't get punt or 3 and out, field goal, 3 and out, field goal, and then the turnover on downs at the whole second half of this game. No touchdowns against this defense. Like, I feel like this is really critical. Like, I really just laid it down hard right there. And but this is truly how I feel about Jalen Hurts, is that I sort of expected something like this, and I backed off my stance that they'd be first-round exits, and I felt like I should have listened to my gut, because I said it's not going to be as bad, but I think they won't win the Super Bowl this year. So I think Jalen Hurts is going to take some of the blame for that. How do you feel like, about all of that I just said about all the playoffs, and this was the one test, the one true test for him, because I feel like in a lot of ways it was. The 49ers had a lot of disadvantages.
To talk more about this game, though, like, if we're being honest with ourselves, like, outside of those two, like, chunk plays the Niners had that first half, the Eagles dominated that whole first half of the game.
They did.
The Eagles dominated the majority. They dominated the majority of this game. They just gave up the touchdown late, and they couldn't do anything. Like, they choked. That's what happened. At the end of the day, they choked today. That's how
It was definitely a team. Yeah, a little bit of a team effort.
Hurts had all the opportunities in the world that last drive to go score, and then they moved the ball quick down the field, and then they just fucking started like slowing down, and then it got messy. But yeah. And to go back to like last year, what the difference is. Last year, it's like you had who's the guy on the Chargers now, the guard?
Mekhi Becton.
Yeah, back then.
Yeah, they had Mekhi Becton in the middle of the defense. They had a healthy O-line. Their O-line was dominant.
Becton was
Obviously,
not on the defense. He was on the offense.
Offense is what I'm talking about. And then Barkley, 2,000-yard rusher, and you mix that with Kellen Moore's creativity. I understand how an elite OC can elevate you, but at the same time, there's got to be a floor if you're going to be called a elite quarterback.
That was one of my notes.
There's got to be a floor there.
No floor to the offense in the second half. It really would have helped them finish this game.
That's my takeaway. I understand the differences in this OC thing, but at the end of the day, if you're what people say you are, then how is this the outcome? Yeah, going into the final 2 minutes of the game today, Hurts had 125 passing yards.
Yeah, he had 168 on the game, and what shocked me, 5 carries for 14 yards. Like, why wasn't he like escaping and taking off? Like, I don't think he's like playing through some like rough injury or anything, and I don't know, like, isn't he in charge of like when to make that call? And I feel like there's been a lot of discussion about Hurts' pocket presence and when he does and doesn't have Lane Johnson. It's like being able to judge how much time you can spend in the pocket before you bail to extend the play, keep your head downfield, and then finally take off at the end for 7 yards and just really, really wear down defenses. Like guys like Mahomes does this. Josh Allen, we saw him. We've seen him in the past do it. And even guys like Caleb, which we'll talk about. But, that's an elite trait that you have to have. And I feel like this was a test for him to prove it. And the 5 carries for 14 yards is most critical because those are some elite wide receivers going down the field. You got Goddard at tight end. Like, there is room for him to run. There's a lot of attention being allocated elsewhere. And I'm just wondering what Hurts was doing to help the Eagles get out of this funk. Like, I felt like a better quarterback would have been able to produce a touchdown in the second half. I don't know. That's mostly how I feel about it. I mean, for you to be in this, situation where, obviously, the both of us are not going to have as much faith at all as you are in the guy. But, I mean, I feel like this should frustrate you to an extent. This was a game that could have been won.
Me in the sense of specific people that when you watch Eagles games as closely as I have, like people like Adoree Jackson, Keely Ringo, Patullo, Steen, Matt Pryor when he came in for the one play, completely ineffective, like not being able to do anything. To me, it's one of those things where you could see things in the depth pieces, and you could also see things in terms of the play calling. Going back to Joey's point, right, about like shouldn't your OC like put you in a position to be able to go and figure everything out. 2 plays that I've noticed, right, where Hurts is having to completely audible motion AJ and Smith get things adjusted within 15 seconds of the play clock. And Brady said it best. And if Brady said it, I don't know who's going to argue that when you have to do all that stuff, people are going to be in a fluster. And guess what? On both of those routes, A.J. Brown running a route 50%, Jahan Dotson just running straight because what are you going to do at that point? You're just going to try to find an opening and be able to make things happen. So I think to me, and watching like the Hard Knocks and seeing all these meetings between the quarterback coaches and how Patullo and Hurts talk to each other, you could just see like they're all not on the same page when it comes to how the offense should be ran and using their talents to the best of their ability. So that's why, to me, it's like everyone's like, "Oh, it's Hurts, it's Hurts, it's Hurts." Guess what? Like 2022, everybody shat on him. He went to the Super Bowl. He didn't win. Then everybody wants to give him praise. Everyone said how fantastic he was. He ended up getting knocked out first round of 2023. What are we saying right now? That he's dog water. Okay, he's trash, right? Apparently, that's what everybody's saying now, right? So then guess what? After that 2023 season, and he came back, he won a Super Bowl. Now everyone's on his freaking knob, glazing him, saying how fantastic he was. Scotty, has my position switched on him since 2021?
No, I'd say it's been.
No,
been
it hasn't been pretty the same for all 4 or 5 years. Now we're back to this concept that Jalen Hurts is dog water, that he is gargantuously part to blame for this ish. And it's one of those things where it's like, look at this situation. Nobody saw Shane Steichen as that guy.
Pretty good situation if we.
Nobody. Did you see Shane Steichen as that guy? You thought Shane Steichen came in, you were like, he's him.
Scott, can we talk about this situation?
I think Shane Steichen proved on the Colts that he can replicate what he does.
That he came, yes, to an Eagles team, got knocked out the first round. We're saying here right now, going into 2022 season, we were like, oh, the Eagles are like that.
Well, I'm saying this
because we got knocked out first round by Tom Brady. You were part of that conversation of, oh my God, Hurts is trash. He can't get nothing done. He can't get stuff situated. He is a top 20 quarterback. That's what your guys' stance were during that time. Don't try to switch that shit up now.
I know, no. It's true. It's true.
And then what happened?
Very slowly. Yeah.
Steichen came up.
Yeah.
Nobody knew who this dude was. Everyone still said he was going to be dog water. He was going to be trash. But who made that offense that year? Hurts, Brown, Miles fucking Sanders, bro. And now we see here. Line. And with the offensive line, congratulations, bro. Guess what? In the Dolphins, the defense, bro, what happened? Jonathan Gannon, you know where he is? Fucking fired. That's where he is, bro. But Steichen learned with this Hurts offense, became this head coach for the Colts, did something with Daniel Jones. Fantastic. Now, you dog him, he comes back 2023, everybody has all this hype. What happens?
So
everything's focused on him.
I did also say back then I was low on Hurts and I'm higher on him now. But I did also say I think if a guy like Daniel Jones was in that situation, that he would be a lot better than he is on the Giants. And a lot of people don't like to play the if game. I think the idea is that a lot of people could be in this Eagles situation and potentially could have won this game. And, if you don't want to have that conversation, I understand. It's kind of fruitless because, Jalen Hurts is the quarterback of the Eagles. And right now, this is just another piece of his legacy. It's been Super Bowl. It was first round exit. And then it was Super Bowl victory. And now we are at first round exit, except this was not nearly as bad. But it's just kind of like, oh man, like, are we going to get back next year? But guys, this has been an awesome segment, but I think it's
one more thing.
Okay. One more. Close it out, Joey. Close it out.
Danny, I just have a question for you. I want to hear what you have to say about this. What does Nick Sirianni bring to the table for the Eagles?
Yeah, good question.
Where is his hand in all of this? Because we're so stuck on this coordinator thing. If it's all about the coordinators, why is Sirianni your head coach? Other than him being a puppet, Howie Roseman. That's really what he is. He's a puppet. He's a yes man. That's all he is.
I
Outside of that, what does he bring
appreciate your opinion. For me, Sirianni, what does he bring? I genuinely feel like
talk about the AJ Brown and Sirianni conversation.
The chemistry in terms of the team. I'm not talking about the play calling. I'm not talking about the schemes. I'm not talking about. I'm talking about he is that kind of person that, how do I say? It's like I guess you could say wakes up the team in situations that are needed. But to me, everyone's going to make mistakes. And in this case today, Brown attempting to make that catch Sirianni running down the field, and clearly those two are screaming at each other. It happened last year 3 times with Jalen Carter. That Carter goes and he makes a sack, he makes a big play, and what happens? Sirianni's screaming at him, he's getting hype with him, he's losing his ish at him. And everybody thought to themselves, what the heck is going on? Why is Sirianni screaming at his own players? Why is he doing this? Why is he doing that? But guess what? We won a Super Bowl from it. We look at it as negative now because why? Because of the situation that we're in now. But clearly, he's been the same person for the past 4 to 5 years. And I don't know about you guys, but like, I don't know a lot of coaches that in their 4 years ever as a head coach, they make 2 Super Bowls like that. So it's like everyone wants to dog him and say, oh, what does he bring? What does he bring? What does he bring? Clearly, the common denominator between 2 Super Bowls in 4 years is Sirianni, A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts, and Devontae Smith. And got it. Right? BG, Jake Elliott, Lane Johnson.
I think they're all the benefactors of Howie Roseman.
Here's my opinion. That's one of them. I have 3 main points for that Super Bowl, and really, this is what it is. It's Howie Roseman, Kellen Moore, and Vic Fangio. Those are the 3. Those are why you guys won.
Steichen and then Gannon. Sorry, go ahead.
That's
the reason we lost that Super Bowl. Like,
well, you guys got there. It was good though.
Did the Eagles make a mistake letting Kellen Moore leave?
I don't think they could.
He decided
to leave. I don't think they could let him stay.
He said that he went for the interview for the head coaching position because he's been wanting to be a head coach. He wanted to be a head coach since he was on the Cowboys, but Dakota Prescott couldn't get him there.
Yeah, number 1 offense.
He was too young.
2 years in a row.
He was too young.
Yeah, and you know what Kellen Moore got with Jalen Hurts? A Super Bowl. What's next?
Well, this is the thing. I think the biggest lesson from this is GMs rarely are actually appreciated for doing a good job. It's rarely acknowledged.
Howie Roseman is the most recognized / loved. This dude gets glazed.
And this is just another reminder that I think Sirianni, Hurts, some of the offensive weapons, some of the defensive players. There's a few superstars on the Eagles, but the collection of Bs, B grade guys, good players at positions that are average on most teams is why the Eagles are able to have the success that they have. And assigning the credit to Sirianni or Hurts doesn't feel quite as right as it does with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. There's a difference there. I don't know exactly what it is, but I feel like it's there, and we all know what I'm talking about. But I think that's a great time to move on, Danny. I know you just could go on and on and on, and I am sorry. I am. It's gotta hurt. And I admire your ability to come on here and to talk about this less than 30 minutes after it happens. So I really do admire that because I don't know how I would have handled it. So thank you, Danny.
I think a lot of you guys would have skipped this podcast. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
I would have. It would have been hard. It's kind of hard for me to imagine, as you can remember, being the Giants fan that I am. It's been 1 game that we've won in the past many years, but it's time. It is time to move on to what was the